Absolute scarcity is a one-time discovery, just like heliocentrism or any other major scientific paradigm shift. At this point, it seems absolute scarcity for money is truly a one-time discovery that cannot be disrupted any more than the concept of zero can be disrupted. In the same way that there has only ever been one analog gold, there is likely to only ever be one digital gold. The absolute scarcity of Bitcoin's supply will continue outcompeting all other monetary protocols in its path to global dominance.
Today we've condensed down a fascinating conversation about the number zero and Bitcoin. Bitcoin stands as a groundbreaking revelation in our modern digital world. The discovery of absolute scarcity truly has the chance to profoundly change how humanity currently works. This monumental technology emerged from a unique sequence of events, rendering it a one-time occurrence that defies reproduction. Without further ado, here is Robert Breedlove on the What is Money show.
The invention of Bitcoin represents the discovery of absolute scarcity or absolute irreproducibility, which occurred due to a particular sequence of idiosyncratic events that cannot be reproduced. Any attempt to introduce an absolutely scarce or diminishing supplied money into the world would likely collapse into Bitcoin, as we saw with the Bitcoin Cash fork. Absolute scarcity is a one-time discovery, just like heliocentrism or any other major scientific paradigm shift. In a world where Bitcoin already exists, a successful launch via a proof-of-work system is no longer possible due to path dependence. Yet another reason why Bitcoin cannot be replicated or disrupted by any other crypto asset using this consensus mechanism. At this point, it seems absolute scarcity for money is truly a one-time discovery that cannot be disrupted any more than the concept of zero can be disrupted. A true Bitcoin killer would necessitate an entirely new consensus mechanism and distribution model, with an implementation overseen by an unprecedentedly organized group of human beings. Nothing to date has been conceived that could even come close to satisfying these requirements. In the same way that there has only ever been one analog gold, there is likely to only ever be one digital gold. For the same quantifiable reasons, a zero-based numeral system became a dominant mathematical protocol, and capitalism outcompetes socialism. The absolute scarcity of Bitcoin's supply will continue outcompeting all other monetary protocols in its path to global dominance. Numbers are the fundamental abstractions which rule our world. Zero is the vanishing point of the mathematical landscape. In the realm of interpersonal competition and cooperation, money is the dominant abstraction which governs our behavior. Money arises naturally as the most tradable thing within a society. This includes exchanges with others and with our future selves. Scarcity is the trait of money that allows it to hold value across time, enabling us to trade it with our future selves for the foregone opportunity costs, the things we could have otherwise traded money for had we not decided to hold it. Scarce money accrues value as our productivity grows. For these reasons, the most scarce technology, which otherwise exhibits sufficient monetary traits, divisibility, durability, recognizability, portability, tends to become money. Said simply, the most relatively scarce money wins. In this sense, what zero is to math, absolute scarcity is to money. It is an astonishing discovery, a window into the void, just like its predecessor, zero. Bitcoin is the global economic singularity, the ultimate monetary center of gravity, an exponential devourer of liquid value in the world economy, the epitome of time, and the 0 point of money. Fiat currency always falls to zero. Zero has proven itself as the capstone of our numeral system by making it scalable, invertible, and easily convertible. In time, Bitcoin will prove itself as the most important network in the global economic system by increasing social scalability, causing an inversion of economic power, and converting culture into a realignment with natural law. Bitcoin will allow sovereignty to once again adhere at the individual level instead of being usurped at the institutional level as it is today, all thanks to its special forebear, zero. The only answer is the only money with a 0% terminal inflation rate, Bitcoin. Central planning in the market for money, aka monetary socialism, is dying. This tyrannical financial hierarchy has increased worldwide wealth disparities, funded perpetual warfare, and plundered entire commonwealths to bail out failing institutions. A reversion to the free market for money is the only way to heal the devastation it has wrought over the past 100+ years. Unlike central bankers, who are fallible human beings that give in to political pressure to pillage value from people by printing money, Bitcoin's monetary policy does not bend for anyone. It gives zero fucks. And in a world where central banks can just add zeros to steal your wealth, people's only hope is a zero fucks money that cannot be confiscated, inflated, or stopped. Central banks literally just add zeros to steal vast swaths of societal wealth. Bitcoin was specifically designed as a countermeasure to expansionary monetary policies, aka wealth confiscation via inflation, by central bankers. Bitcoin is a true 0-to-1 invention, an innovation that profoundly changes society instead of just introducing an incremental advancement. Bitcoin is ushering in a new paradigm for money, nation-states, and energy efficiency. Most importantly, it promises to break the cycle of criminality in which governments continuously privatize gains via seigniorage and socialize losses via inflation. Time and time again, excessive inflation has torn societies apart, yet the lessons of history remain unlearned. Once again, here we are. How much longer will monetary socialism remain an extant economic model? The countdown has already begun. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Rocket technicians always wait for zero before ignition. Countdowns always finalize at the 0 hour. Oil price wars erupting in Eurasia, a global pandemic, an unprecedented expansionary monetary policy response, and another quadrennial Bitcoin inflation rate halving. 2020 is quickly becoming the 0 hour for Bitcoin. Inflation rate and societal well-being are inversely related. The more reliably value can be stored across time, the more trust can be cultivated among market participants. When a money's roots to economic reality are severed, as happened when the peg to gold was broken and fiat currency was born, its supply inevitably trends towards infinity in hyperinflation, and the functioning of its underlying society deteriorates towards zero in economic collapse. An unstoppable free market alternative, Bitcoin is anchored to economic reality through proof-of-work energy expenditure and has an inflation rate predestined for zero, meaning that a society operating on a Bitcoin standard would stand to gain in virtually infinite ways. When Bitcoin's inflation rate finally reaches zero in the mid-22nd century, the measure of its soundness as a store of value, the stock-to-flow ratio, will become infinite. People that realize this and adopt it early will benefit disproportionately from the resultant mass wealth transfer. Zero and infinity are reciprocal. 1 divided by infinity equals 0, and 1 divided by 0 equals infinity. In the same way, a society's well-being shrinks towards zero the more closely the inflation rate approaches infinity through the hyperinflation of fiat currency. Conversely, societal well-being can, in theory, be expanded towards infinity the more closely the inflation rate approaches zero through the absolute scarcity of Bitcoin. Remember, the Fed is now doing whatever it takes to make sure there is infinite cash in the banking system, meaning that its value will eventually fall to zero. Market value of money always converges to its marginal cost of production. Infinite cash means dollars will inevitably become as valuable as the paper on which they are printed. Zero arose in the world as an unstoppable idea because its time had come. It broke the dominion of the church and put an end to its monopolization over access to knowledge and the gates to heaven. The resultant movement, the separation of church and state, reinvigorated self-sovereignty in the world, setting the individual firmly as the cornerstone of the state. Rising from the church's ashes came a nation-state model founded on sound property rights, rule of law, and free market money, aka hard money. With this new age came an unprecedented boom in scientific advancement, wealth creation, and worldwide well-being. In the same way, Bitcoin and its underlying discovery of absolute scarcity for money is an idea whose time has come. Emerging from the depths below first principles, Bitcoin is the zeroth principle for money. Bitcoin is shattering the siege of central banks on our financial sovereignty. It is invoking a new movement, the separation of money and state, as its revolutionary banner, and it is restoring natural law in a world ravaged by a mega wealth parasite, the Fed. Only unstoppable ideas can break otherwise immovable institutions. Zero brought the church to its knees, and Bitcoin is bringing the false church of the Fed into the sunlight of its long-awaited judgment day. Both Zero and Bitcoin are emblematic of the void, a realm of pure potentiality from which all things spring forth into being, the nothingness from which everything effervesces and into which all possibility finally collapses. Zero and Bitcoin are unstoppable ideas gifted to mankind, gestures made in the spirit of something for nothing. In a world run by central banks with zero accountability, a cabal that uses the specious prospects of infinite cash to promise us everything, thereby raising the specter of hyperinflation, nothingness may prove to be the greatest gift we could ever receive.
As we navigate the depths of monetary paradigms, it becomes clear that Bitcoin's absolute scarcity is an irreversible force, reminiscent of pivotal shifts like heliocentrism. In a world where Bitcoin reigns, attempts at replication or disruption through consensus mechanisms seem futile. Just as the concept of zero revolutionized mathematics, Bitcoin, with its scarcity, promises to reshape our economic landscape, transcending the manipulations of fiat currencies. The journey to the zero hour for Bitcoin has begun, ushering in an era where sound money and individual sovereignty prevail over the illusions of infinite cash and centralized control. Thanks for joining us today. We have more podcast recap films you can watch here. If you learned something and enjoyed yourself, help people find more pure Bitcoin signal by liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more videos like this every week.